What if the real reason Las Vegas feels emptier than ever has nothing to do with the weather, crime, or even the economy? What if the real culprit is something far sneakier, hidden fees? From parking garages that feel like luxury car rentals to hotel bills that double overnight, Sin City has quietly turned into a maze of charges that are leaving visitors drained. People are flying in full of excitement, but they're leaving with thinner wallets and thicker frustration. Today we're breaking down the 9 most outrageous fees that are driving tourists away from Las Vegas. And trust me, when we get to number 1, you might start questioning whether Vegas is even worth the trip anymore. If you love the truth about America's most iconic cities, hit that subscribe button because we're just getting started. Number 9. Resort fees that cost more than the room itself. Imagine this: you find a hotel room online for just $79 a night. Looks like a steal, right? But by the time you check in, that bargain has magically transformed into a $150 bill, and you haven't even touched a slot machine yet. That's the not-so-magical trick of resort fees. In 2025, these fees on the Strip usually range from $40 to $55 per night, per room. Stay for 3 nights, and you're looking at an extra $150 or more added to your bill. And here's the kicker: you don't get to opt out. Whether you hit the casino, swim in the pool, or just crash in bed, you're paying for it. Hotels claim these fees cover things like Wi-Fi, gym access, and local calls, but let's be honest, most travelers already have their own data plans. Barely anyone uses the gym on vacation, and who's calling the front desk on a hotel landline in 2025? It's like paying for a steak dinner and being served a pack of crackers. The bigger issue is how these fees distort the entire idea of price comparison. That $79 room with a $45 resort fee is suddenly more expensive than the hotel you passed on for $120 a night, but you don't realize that until you're at checkout, frustrated and out of pocket. This kind of drip pricing erodes trust, makes visitors feel scammed, and when people feel cheated, they don't come back. And fewer people coming back means Vegas itself starts to lose its magic. The Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority has already confirmed it. Repeat visitors are slowing down, and the number one reason isn't lack of fun, but lack of value. Price dissatisfaction is driving budget-conscious travelers away. Instead of heading back to the Strip, many are now choosing more transparent destinations like Reno, Laughlin, or even Phoenix, where the final bill doesn't feel like a trick. And if you thought resort fees were frustrating, wait until you hear about the next charge. This one hits you before you've even unpacked your bags. Number 8. Paid parking that used to be free. Not long ago, free parking was practically a sacred tradition in Las Vegas. It was one of those unwritten perks that made you feel welcome the moment you rolled into town. No hassle, no charge, just park your car and head straight for the action. But fast forward to 2025, and that friendly handshake has been replaced with flashing pay stations and cold credit card readers. Today, self-parking at many major Strip resorts costs anywhere from $18 to $25 per day. Want valet? Get ready to hand over $40 to $50 a night, plus a tip. For a couple staying just 3 nights, that's easily $100 to $150 gone just for the privilege of leaving your car in a concrete box. And here's the kicker: locals aren't spared either. Even Nevadans with valid IDs often have to pay during peak hours. The whole shift began quietly back in the late 2010s, disguised as a security and infrastructure upgrade. But let's be real, it was never about safety. It's about revenue. The irony: casinos in Las Vegas don't even make their money from parking fees. They make it from gambling, shows, food, and drinks. But when guests feel nickel and dimed before they've even played a single hand of blackjack, they walk into the casino with tighter wallets and a lot less generosity. The ripple effect is real. Convention goers now have to factor parking into their travel budgets. Rideshare apps like Uber and Lyft see massive surges during big events, driving prices sky high, and more visitors are choosing to stay off the Strip, where parking is still free. The end result? Fewer people walking casino floors, less money flowing into games, and a growing perception that Las Vegas has lost the edge that once made it the best value getaway in America. For longtime fans, it's a sad shift. They remember the old days, pulling into a massive garage, stepping into that blast of cool air conditioning, and walking straight to the fun without ever opening their wallet. For longtime visitors, losing free parking wasn't just inconvenient, it was a symbolic loss of the old Vegas spirit. But if parking fees made you mad, the next charge might leave you wondering if Las Vegas hotels are now charging you just to breathe. Number 7. Early check-in and late checkout penalties. Picture this. You've just landed in Las Vegas, your flight got in early and you're exhausted. You head to the hotel hoping to freshen up before hitting the strip. But then comes the catch. Your room is ready, sitting there spotless and empty, yet you can't have it unless you cough up another $30 to $75 for early check-in. Want to sleep in and check out afternoon? That's another $50 to $75, sometimes even more. For a couple, that could mean an extra $150 just for a few hours of convenience. Hotels defend these charges as operational necessities, but let's be honest, this is pure revenue padding. Las Vegas is a 24/7 city. Housekeeping staff works around the clock, rooms are constantly being flipped, and the idea that a ready room can't be accessed without a fee feels less like policy and more like a shakedown. Think about it. Guests are already paying premium room rates, sky-high resort fees and sometimes triple-digit parking, yet when they arrive early, they're told their room is off limits without another swipe of the credit card. For travelers on early flights, it's a miserable way to start a vacation. Instead of relaxing, they're stuck wandering noisy lobbies, dragging luggage through crowded casinos, or spending more money in overpriced restaurants just to pass the time. And it doesn't stop there. Try extending your checkout by just a couple of hours, and it's the same story. Pay up or get out. Even when the floor looks empty, the fees keep coming. The bigger problem is psychological. These nickel and dime tactics sour the mood before the trip even begins. Guests who feel gouged are less likely to tip generously, spend freely at the tables, or book a return stay. That's why many travelers are quietly ditching the Strip for off-Strip boutique hotels or short-term rentals, where flexible check-in and check-out is treated as hospitality, not an upsell. Because when Vegas hotels start monetizing time itself, people stop seeing Sin City as fun and start seeing it as hostile. And speaking of hospitality, the next fee will have you questioning whether you're paying for service or just paying for the illusion of it. Number 6. Mandatory gratuities and service charges. In most cities, tipping is a choice. It's your way of saying, hey, the service was great, thank you. But in Las Vegas 2025, that choice is being stripped away. More and more restaurants, poolside bars, and even in-room dining services are quietly adding mandatory gratuities, or so-called service charges of 18% to 22%. And here's the kicker, it often shows up on your bill before you even see the total. What stings the most is the confusion. These charges don't replace the tip line, they add to it. So unless you're carefully combing through the fine print at the bottom of your receipt, you could be double tipping without realizing it. Staff rarely mention it up front, and let's be honest, most people are too caught up in the Vegas energy to notice until it's too late. Now imagine this, you and your friends order bottle service at a nightclub, the menu says $400, but by the time you see the bill with auto gratuity and fees, you're staring at $500 or more, before you've even clinked glasses for the first toast. Suddenly that celebratory night feels more like a financial ambush. Originally the idea was noble, guarantee fair pay for servers and bartenders in high-volume venues, but when a $14 poolside beer magically turns into $18 after hidden fees, guests stop feeling valued and start feeling like walking ATMs. And it's not just bars. Many resort spas, salons, and even concierge services tack on an automatic 20% service fee on top of prices that are already premium. The backlash has been loud. Online travel forums are filled with frustrated warnings, check your bill before you tip in Vegas, and more visitors are skipping overpriced strip restaurants entirely, heading instead to off-strip diners and local eateries, where the price you see is the price you pay. The hospitality industry lives or dies by trust and perceived value, but when guests feel tricked, that trust evaporates fast. What's worse, these forced tips actually undermine the very service they're meant to support. Instead of leaving with a smile, guests walk away feeling hustled, and they tell everyone they know. And if you thought paying extra for service you already expected was bad, just wait. The next fee on our list takes things to a whole new level of absurd, and now we hit a fee that can drain your budget before you've even booked the trip. Number 5. Ticketing fees that outprice the show. Las Vegas has always been the entertainment capital of the world. Big names, dazzling productions and one-of-a-kind shows. It's part of the magic that draws millions to the Strip every year. But lately, the most jaw-dropping part of the experience isn't the headliner on stage, it's the checkout page. In 2025, ticketing fees have hit ridiculous levels. On average, you're paying an extra 25% to 40% on top of the advertised ticket price. That $150 ticket to see a headliner at the Sphere or a Cirque du Soleil performance, by the time you tack on processing fees, facility charges, and the infamous convenience fee, your bill has ballooned past $200 for one seat. And don't think you can sidestep it by walking up to the box office. Those padded add-ons are often right there too. Now do the math for a family or even a couple. A night out for four could easily rack up an extra $200 or more in hidden ticketing costs before anyone's even ordered a single overpriced cocktail. Suddenly, what should be a highlight of the trip feels like a financial ambush. What's worse is that these fees rarely improve anything. They're not funding better sound systems or comfier seats. Industry insiders openly admit they're simply a pure profit stream. Meanwhile, visitors are left shaking their heads, wondering why they paid $50 just for the privilege of buying a ticket. The fallout is obvious. More and more tourists are skipping shows entirely, choosing instead to catch free street performances, local lounge acts, or cheaper off-strip entertainment. The psychology of a Vegas vacation is changing. Instead of splurging freely, people are budgeting tightly, cutting back on those big only-in-Vegas experiences that once made the city unforgettable. And when the extras outweigh the excitement, the magic fades. Because here's the brutal truth. When you feel nickel and dimed before the curtain even rises, it's hard to enjoy the show. And if you thought ticketing fees were bad, wait until you see the next charge, one that's tied to something you literally cannot avoid: the very air you breathe inside the casino. Step into an arena, a theater, or even a major casino sports bar in 2025, and you'll notice something strange. The price you see on the menu isn't the price you'll pay. Number 4. Concession and venue surcharge. Fees across Las Vegas. Many venues now quietly tack on concession fees or venue surcharges of 3% to 8% on every food and drink purchase. That's on top of sales tax and gratuity. At first glance, it sounds small, just a few extra dollars. But when you do the math, it starts to sting. Order a round of cocktails at a pool party, $120 worth of drinks. That 5% venue fee sneaks in another $6 before you even think about tipping. Grab a quick bite at a concert, and suddenly your $12 hot dog costs closer to $15. Over the course of a weekend, these tiny percentages can quietly drain $50 to $100 from a traveler's wallet without them even realizing it. Venue operators defend the charges, saying they help cover rising costs. But for guests, it feels like paying an entrance fee every time you take a sip or a bite. And the psychology is brutal. When you've already dropped serious money on tickets, parking, or bottle service, layering yet another mystery fee feels downright predatory. Regulars have noticed the shift. 10 years ago, you could walk into a sportsbook, order a beer, and know exactly what it would cost. Now tourists are venting online about receipt shock, sharing stories of surprise surcharges that turn a simple snack into a mini ripoff. And that kind of word of mouth doesn't sell more tickets. It pushes people to avoid on-site concessions altogether, which ends up hurting the venues themselves. And if extra fees on your drinks and snacks sound bad, brace yourself. Because the next fee doesn't just follow you around Vegas, it starts charging you before you even leave home. Number 3. Online booking and convenience fees. In theory, booking your Vegas getaway online should save you time and money. After all, you're skipping the line, doing the work yourself, and securing your spot in advance. But in 2025, the reality is the opposite. You find what looks like a great midweek deal, say a hotel room for $109 per night. You click through, ready to lock it in, and then the checkout page hits you with a surprise, a vague digital service fee or online processing fee. Suddenly your $109 room costs $149, and you haven't even packed your bags yet. And it's not just hotel websites. Popular day clubs, fine dining restaurants, tour companies, even some bars are slipping in similar charges. They frame them as a way to guarantee your reservation or cover transaction costs. But here's the irony. Booking online actually saves these businesses staffing expenses. Instead of passing those savings on to customers, they've flipped the script and decided to charge you for the privilege of doing their work for them. For travelers planning a multi-stop Vegas itinerary, these small charges add up quickly.